All right. Good afternoon. I'm with Jordan Black, CEO of Ramp Metals. Symbol is RAMP, RAMP on the TSXV Venture. And Ramp has been a guest on Goldfinger Capital before. Yesterday, unfortunately, Ramp shares got nuked down over 50% after announcing first results from the 2025 drill program at the Rottenstone Southwest project in Saskatchewan. So we're going to get into it and unpack the whole thing with Jordan. So Jordan, how are you the day after?
Hey, Robert. Thanks for having us on again. Always happy to be a guest here. And yeah, look, we definitely got a few black eyes after that PR yesterday, but happy to be on here and unpack the results, both good and bad. And I think there's a lot of good to unpack, and I think people are overlooking that right now. So let's get into it.
Okay, let's get into it. Let's start with I read the news release, getting on an airplane, admittedly, so I wasn't fully honed in on this, but I saw the Ranger results and I was like, okay, the stock's going to be down, but I didn't think it was going to be down 50%. Never in my wildest dreams, but I guess that's the market. And then I read a wildfire is currently burning within the Rottenstone Southwest claim. I'm like, oh, the share price is getting nuked and there's a wildfire burning. So is the wildfire a problem? Is this bad news for the company?
So if you're not involved in exploration and you're not a geo, you might not know, even though the forest fires are bad for the environment, it's actually really good from a geology perspective. So right now, I think about 80% of our property is being burnt. We do have to do some recon over it and see if it's still burning. But based on the provincial data, it looks pretty singed. And what that does for us, it actually opens up the property. If this fire actually burns hot and takes out most of the trees, it will allow us to easily prospect the bedrock at surface. Maybe we find some gaussons on site a lot easier. And these anomalies that we just picked up in our latest geophysics, which I think there's more than 5 of them, we'll be able to go out and land helicopters a lot easier without line cutters. So to geologists out there, they're very happy that when a fire burns and they can get out there. So that's not going to set us back. The only thing it may delay is when we get out there. So over the next couple of weeks, we got to do some recon and see when we get some rain, if the fires are out and it's safe to go back out there, because the team's eager to start hitting the ground and prospecting again here.
Okay, so sort of the glass half full maybe there with the wildfire. If the fire is extinguished in the next couple of weeks and the ground is okay to return to, let's say, by the end of August or in September, then your crews can get back out there and they can see rocks and outcrop, and they can map the property a lot better. Is that right?
Yeah, 100%. This is actually a gift to us right now.
Okay. And also this area, you can probably be out there with field crews until, I don't know, the end of October?
Yeah, last year we were out there until the snow flew, and that was about mid-October, end of October, yeah.
All right, very good. So fingers crossed that we'll catch a break there. So let's start with the bad news, because I think there is good news in this news release. But let's start with the bad news. I think we can admit that holes 2, 3, 4, and 5 at Ranger were disappointing. So what's your takeaway? Honestly, I'm not new at this, and I haven't seen too many cases where a company will drill first blind hole into a completely virgin target, hit 7+ meters of 2 ounce plus gold, and then the 4 subsequent follow-up holes in the same proximity do not yield any gold. So what's going on here?
So yeah, obviously it's puzzling to us as well, and we're still unpacking the data. Obviously, we only have half the results back, so we have to kind of interpret what we have now. And we do think this will give us a better idea of what we have. And maybe where this gold is. Because if you remember, we hit gold not only in the high grade zone, but we hit it at surface in a different program, right? With chip samples from the bedrock, and a couple kilometers away, we hit really high grade gold in soils, which I think top 2% in the world on the soil data side, and that's near a rogue target. So we didn't obviously hit the grades we want. We were expecting even some low grades that we missed, but we believe maybe this is part of a more robust system that we need to investigate further. Maybe it's a bit deeper, right? And then you go back to the thought, okay, maybe this gold was part of the VMS signature that we were originally targeting with these sulfide anomalies, right?
So in the news release, you said the company thinks it may be on the edge of a more robust gold system and needs to investigate further once all the assays from Ranger come in. So what do you mean by that? Like, so there's basically maybe a source that's not actually where you were testing at Ranger. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. So maybe it is deeper. Maybe it's in closer proximity. These are the things that we've really got to wrap our heads around and speak with our advisors on. Look at the rocks again, and just see if there's connections between Ranger, Rogue. Is there something in between that we missed? So those are the type of things we'll be wrapping our heads around. By no means we think the gold story is over. We think sometimes in exploration you get unlucky and you miss, and maybe we did step out too far. Those are the type of things that we're really going to be looking into here.
Okay, so there's still 3 holes pending from Ranger, holes 6, 7, and 8. Hole 8 was a huge step out to the northeast of Ranger 001. I have no idea what to expect for hole 8, but I guess based upon the first 4 holes, the market's expecting 0. I mean, what are your expectations for these 3 holes, that are still left?
Look, at this point, based on the current data, we don't want to set any unrealistic expectations. We're hoping for some low grade in there, but right now we got to let the assays speak, and then obviously we could have that conversation again. But there's still rogue as well, right? Where we did hit the high grade soil. So we want to take a look at that rogue core, take a look at these remaining Ranger holes, and then really put together a better understanding of this system.
Okay, so there's 3 holes still pending from Ranger. I believe there's 3 holes pending from Rogue. And are there any other holes still pending assays?
So I think there's 4 pending from Ranger, actually. And then there's, I think, 3 from Rush, if I'm not mistaken. 3 or 4 from Rush. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 from Rush. And then we have the Rogue holes as well. So 10.
Okay, so there's 10 holes still pending. Okay, there's 10 holes still pending in total. Okay. And Rogue is a real wild card. I mean, definitely very promising soils and rocks found at surface at Rogue, but really no idea what to expect there from those 3 drill holes. So let's move to Rush, because this is where we actually have some real data now. You published a bunch of assays from Rush, and there's a new VMS discovery here at Rush with some pretty good intercepts. So what's your takeaway from Rush?
So Rush is definitely getting overlooked right now with Ranger because of the miss currently. But with Rush, both us, our geos, our advisors, extremely excited about this VMS discovery. Not too many people make high-grade VMS discoveries that are open-ended. So obviously there's a lot more work to do, but when you hit almost 0.8% copper over 27 meters after a 165-meter step out, these are the type of deposits that turn into resources, and that's what the team's going to try to do here.
Okay, so when I was delving into the news release in a little bit more detail once I got off my flight, I was looking at the assays, breaking it down by metal, and then looking at the maps you put out. And this is my takeaway, very cursory, but I want to basically just bounce it off you and get your thoughts. So based upon the whole 10 assays, where you got the nice kick of silver there, over 27 meters from surface, just based upon the zonation that I know in these VMS systems, I wonder if hole 10 was maybe getting a little further away from the heart of the system, and maybe holes 1, hole 2 we're a little closer, so that I'm just looking at the plan map you put out, and I'm like, maybe it's actually going, you need to vector south and maybe southeast. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good strategy. With hole 10 and how it correlates to the direction of 1 and 2, that's definitely a good idea. The anomaly right now is 1,200 meters by 300 meters, right? And this area, I'm told from my geos that it's undergone like a very high degree of deformation and metamorphism. So these massive sulfide zones, which carry the copper, they could likely be like a series of stacked lenses, and that's kind of what we've seen in Rush 10. Or multiple like different like horizons of mineralization throughout this like anomaly. So as soon as these fires go out, when we're talking about like going to do extra prospecting, what we're going to do as well is we want to do some downhole BHEM geophysics and some ground geophysics to help us hone in on the Rush targeting. And then we also want to go check out some of these other anomalies that look very similar to Rush, right? So this is definitely a good start. And why it's so significant, it's really we hit these targets off airborne geophysics on our first pass. So once we like copper discoveries and VMS discoveries, they're a lot more linear than gold discoveries. So we'll have a lot easier chance of defining this resource, if that makes sense, Robert.
Yeah, it does. So there's still 3 holes pending from Rush. Is that right? Holes 4, 5, and 6. Is that, or 5, 6, and 7?
Yeah, 5, 6, and 7.
Okay. What are your I mean, I would say hole 8 and 6 are a complete. So hole 8 and 6 are complete wild cards. They're way over to the west, but hole 7 looks like a pretty deep trace there on that drill hole, and I like the location of it further south. Well, what are your expectations?
Hole 7 can definitely give us an idea of the direction and the continuity, right? It's still in a similar direction, right? It doesn't cut that northwest zone that you're talking about, but at least it'll show us a bit of a cutoff or continuation if Rush 7 does hit. So that's definitely a significant hole to watch.
Okay, so why do you think Mr. Market gives no respect for this new VMS system that you've discovered? I mean, it was completely unexpected. If we think back to March, this was not talked about at all. This was not even something that was even a possibility based upon the company's like corporate presentation and stuff. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're hitting massive sulfides near surface at Rush. And it's not just a one-off hole. You have multiple intercepts and multiple drill holes that show this system is pretty extensive. Why do you think the market is giving no respect to Rush right now?
I think on the first day of a release, people pick out the negativity, and maybe you get some panic selling before people actually dive in and read the news. But in my quote in the press release, I wanted to mention foreign metals because they're right here in Saskatchewan. And what we took a look at the last couple of days is the original holes of 4N, which is also a VMS target in Saskatchewan, which is trading over $1 billion right now. So as you know, VMSs can be very economical. We wanted to see, okay, what did they do originally, and how does it compare to us? And these first few hits look very similar to their initial drill program. So if we can find, if we could increase the length and the width of this VMS, and then when we're out there prospecting at the end of summer here, go find one or two more of these similar anomalies on our property, that will make this very economical to mine in the future once we put together a resource. So yeah, like, I don't know why people are overlooking this. Maybe just the fear of the initial shakeout, but at this market cap, based on our initial discovery at Rush, I definitely feel we're trading very undervalued right now.
Yeah, I mean, I look at like hole 9 from Rush, and yeah, it's only 2.5 meters, but it's part of a wider interval there. And to have 1.29% copper, 12% zinc, you've got some nice, silver snips, you got some cobalt. I mean, that tells me this system is rich. Now, I have no idea of the scale. We can't say anything about the scale, but the grades are as good or better than any VMS that I've pretty much seen, except for maybe the absolute best ones in the world. But I mean,
yeah, and that's really the message I think people are missing, and why we're talking today to get that out there, because the mineralization you're talking about, and we did release the expanded table, and you'll see there is some lower grade gold in there. I think we hit like 0.5 meters over a half meter. And even if you look at some of the expanded copper results, like some of the hits are like 4% copper, and obviously we've extended that over the length. But yeah, we can't believe what we hit on this first pass.
Yeah, so I think you're talking about Rush 010. So hole 10 at Rush hit 10.5 meters of 0.1 grams per ton gold. So that's not insignificant. That is anomalous. That's quite anomalous gold. And also in that same interval was 10. Yeah, so 10.5 meters wide interval, and there's 1.41% copper and also 21 gram per ton silver. So, I mean, it's early. Obviously, like, market's not going to give you $100 million market cap just based upon these holes at Rush, but it is very encouraging that this is the first drill program, into Rush, and you're hitting on 5 different holes with still assays pending from 3 more.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously the market cap does take time, but yeah, give us one more season of prospecting and exploration, a couple more drill holes into Rush, and then maybe a couple more drill holes into the anomaly beside this one, and then our market cap's right back where we started.
Absolutely. So I just want to get a little feedback that you may have gotten from shareholders on Tuesday. I mean, obviously, really tough day for shareholders, a tough day for management. Obviously, you have a lot at stake here too. What were some of your conversations like? What was some of the feedback, that you guys got?
Yeah, look, from our major shareholders, and we've talked to all of them. Some of them we reached out to, and others contacted us. One message that was actually very surprising, and what we were hoping for, is congratulating us on the Rush discovery. I think long-term investors can overlook these short-term misses and think about like the prize at the end of the road, which is developing a resource and eventually building it to an economic stage, right? And with a lot of our significant investors and even retail guys, actually one email we got, and I won't mention the name, but it was a retail investor, and he read the press release multiple times and messages me like, why are we trading at these levels? Like, you just made a significant VMS discovery, and our geo advisors as well that are helping out Garrett and Brett all the time, they're congratulating us on the VMS discovery and how significant Rush can be. So those were some of the positive notes we got. Thankfully, I didn't get too many negative calls. Everyone's here to support us and bring us to the next step here.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I'm not giving up on Ranger, but I am definitely scratching my head today. It's weird, but that's exploration, and we just need more data. We gotta figure out what the hell is going on there. But definitely, looking forward to the rest of the assays from Rush, and then Rogue being a real wild card that might be able to bring some joy again to shareholders. So I don't want to pin you down on assays. I know the lab can be tricky, but what's a rough timeline that you think we could get the rest of the assays back?
Look, Robert, at this time, I can't give any more timelines with assays, because I got burnt on that in the past. But what I can say is these labs are really doing their due diligence, where we can see that they've rerun samples. Every time you hit something over 1%, they rerun it. And then even at Ranger, on some of the misses, they did rerun as well. So these guys want to make sure before they give us anything. And yeah, tough to give timelines, but at least we got 50% now, and the rest should be trickling in shortly. Rogue might take a bit longer, so yeah, just stay tuned for that. And I want to say, and you mentioned this earlier, the gold story is not over. So we made a significant copper VMS discovery. Obviously, that's going to be the highlight over the next coming months. But then we still are going to get a way better understanding of the gold system. Even though some of the holes have missed, the rocks will talk a bit and give us a better idea of the system we're dealing with. So we can go back again and still chase down where this gold is coming from on our property.
Okay. Company cash, I see you put about $5 million in the treasury currently. How much of a runway does that give Ramp, and does that fund another program?
Yeah, that gives us another year of runway here, right? So that covers off another geophysics program, the downhole. It covers off the ground geophysics. It covers off a whole season of prospecting before we go drill. And then ideally, if everything goes well, right, forest fires, permitting, which we have submitted, I think about a month ago for our additional drilling. We want to get back out in the fall and drill if everything goes well, right? So the team is doing everything they can, obviously, to expedite that. And we have still a lot of work to do, but with a robust treasury of over $5 million, it gives us that luxury to cross our T's and dot our I's on this property here.
So Ramp is a company that already has strong ownership from management. You have a bunch of large shareholders as well, including Eric Sprott. But investors always, when a company gets cut in half like this, investors always want to say, "Oh, is the management going to buy shares in the open market?" What do you think about that prospect? Is that something that the Ramp team might do over the coming weeks?
Yeah, I think that's definitely possible. I'm hitting the phones every day, calling friends, family, and significant shareholders to reiterate the story and show them the value of buying shares under 50 cents, which is a 20 million market cap, where we made this significant copper discovery with the upside gold potential. So definitely going to be advising everyone to be buying down here. And obviously I'm biased because a lot of my net worth is in this company, and the management and team and all our advisors, we're sticking with this, and we want to make sure we can build this to a resource eventually.
All right, Jordan, thank you very much for this conversation. I appreciate it, and I look forward to the rest of the assays from the Rottenstone Southwest project.
Thanks, Robert. Have a great day.
Cheers.